Your next business breakthrough is not coming from your to do list. It is actually coming from the relationships that you have with people. Today, we're going to dive in to networking and how it can help you grow your business because I think this is a topic many people tend to kind of shy away from, specifically because when you say networking, people start to sweat and cringe. And I want to have you walk away with the knowledge that it doesn't have to be like that, even if you are an extrovert, my friend. So here's the reality: most of us think of networking and think of going out as something that we have to do, and it's such a pain in the ass and it's a chore. And why the heck are we doing it? The reality is that for every time that we think of networking in that way, and we are not seeing it as a valuable opportunity to meet people that are aligned with us and for other people to get to know us in a deeper level, we're always going to fail at networking. I see a lot of this. People going to networking events and they make it very transactional, or they're there to collect business cards or pass out their business cards. I'm not a fan of that at all. What I am a fan of is of being able to go and actively listen to somebody, to be there and get to know somebody. Because when we have the opportunity to hear them, to understand them, to know them, then we can create better relationships. I know for myself, there are many people that I've met networking, and I love to network. So I know that this may come as a shock to people, but when I network with them, I am never going into thinking like, what can this person do for me? Or how is this person going to help me grow my business? Or what can I sell this person? I run away from people that do that. Why? Because it's not real, it's not genuine, it's very superficial. Now, many people, of course, have the challenges of creating these meaningful connections, and they think that it's going to take a lot of time. Now, if you start to schedule yourself maybe one small step at a time into putting in your calendar that you're going to outreach or attend the next working event in your town, go with the thought of meeting one person, hearing one person, talking to one person, and really deep dive into: where are you from? What do you do? Ooh, what brought you here? Ask questions about them. And then you'll find some commonalities. Going to find some common ground with that person. And you can then start to create a genuine conversation. Because a lot of times we think that we have to follow some sort of script when speaking with individuals at a networking event. But it's not about following the script. It's about using the one tool we really undermine when it comes to networking, and that's listening. Networking is about listening and listening about who is that person? What is it that they do? Ask about what their business is. What are they looking to accomplish? Why did they come to the networking event? And listen. When you listen, you will find that, wow, you know what? I know that person that can really get a lot of help from what you offer, right? And then you can make those introductions, or you can just file it away and you can think, that person I met in networking, she's really cool and she loves to paint red walls all over town. And maybe in another networking event, or maybe you're out with friends or a family member mentions that they want a wall painted red, you're going to remember, right? You're going to remember that person. So walk into these meetings, into these networking opportunities, looking to connect, make that human connection with somebody else, and connecting by listening. Now, of course, if you're listening to them, if you're really paying attention and start to understand them better, you're also going to create a real meaningful and an interaction that is real. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. When I worked for my corporate career, we used to do a lot of conferences all over the place. And we would have the sign up sheets, and I would go to these networking receptions and talk to many people. But the most fruitful relationships, the one that helped our businesses grow, really came from just talking to people. We happened to be at this conference in DC, and this is, back some time. Now, there was somebody at a booth, and they were again sharing what they did, and we started to inquire. So tell us a little bit more about this. They happened to have a reading program, and we were a tutoring company. So it was sort of an alignment. But what I really loved is that the first questions I began to ask is like, oh, you wrote a book. Tell me more about that. What made you want to write this book? Oh, that's very cool. Who typically would you like to see read this book? And then I began to understand that person, the author, and I began to see her passion for what she did. As soon as we left that meeting, again, I not only walked away with the contact information with that person, but I walked away with a new friend. And over the course of the years, there were so many interactions in businesses that we collaborated on. One, because I knew what they could do, I knew who they were, I knew their values, but they in turn also knew me. Now, it wasn't only the interactions that we did together, but it was also the introductions that this person made and the introductions I made for them, mainly because we were friends. We were not just business partners. And if you go into your networking events with that, you will see that you too can create the type of momentum for your business that will help you grow overall. Now, fast forward, I don't work in that company anymore. However, that person who I met so many years ago, I continue to collaborate with them. I continue to get clients from them, and I continue to support them in what they do. Anytime that I know someone that needs what they do, you can be sure I'm going to introduce them. So, think about that when you first walk in. Scan the room, look around, and say, ooh, who would I like to know? Maybe is that person in the corner? Because, by the way, you're not the only introvert walking in there. And if you are the extrovert, this is going to be hard. But if you are the extrovert, don't go looking to be the queen bee in the room. Go and find the person that perhaps needs someone like you to ask questions to bring them out of their shell. You will find that once you start to build these connections, it will be easier to keep up the relationship. You will be easy to be able to remember who they are and what they do. And then make it a point to say, hey, I met this person at such and such event. And let's make another coffee date. Let's maybe have a Zoom call. Let's talk a little more or send them. I love sending people articles that I think would be of interest to them. So when I come across an article or a post on social media and they remind me of the industry that the person I met is in or something that is of value to them, I pass it on. Also, I love to introduce people to each other. And the more that you start to build real relationships, the more that it will be easy for you to start to introduce people to one another. And then the same thing will happen. The people that you're introducing will remember you as a friend, you as a colleague, you as a collaborator, not that person trying to sell something. So I hope that all of this has been incredibly helpful, that these are ideas that give you something to kind of mull over. But the strategy for overall cultivating these relationships is going to take practice, is not going to be something that you master overnight. So, as a Tiny Habits coach in me, I want to remind you that every time you go into practice this, remind yourself you're a beginner. You're working on building this new person that builds connections for your business, not the person that's going to be transactional. And you may not feel like you're doing it right, but the more that you are thinking of just interacting and being present for others and listening, you will see that you will have a network that becomes your net worth. Because, yes, people say that all the time, but it's not because you sell to so many people that you've met. It's because people are attracted to what you do, who you are, and you've provided so much value to them that there's a level of trust There is a level of trust that when they need someone that has your expertise, you're the first person that comes to mind. When they want to recommend someone, they're going to recommend you because you are the person they know best. So, my friends, if this has been of value to you, if you find that this is incredibly helpful to you, I'd love to hear in the chat here on YouTube, or if you are listening to this on the podcast, I'd love for you to send me a DM, Julie DeLucca-Collins, on all of the platforms, and tell me what are your best tools or your best tips for connecting and how you have leveraged the power of networking to grow your business and increase your net worth overall. So I love to hear that. And if you are having a hard time connecting, let me know. Let's talk. Let's connect. I'd love to hear more about you. So until next time, don't forget, my friends, go confidently in the direction of your dreams and go connect.